This is Camnet TV World News. For a prompt response, call +2609 53 995 099 or +2609 62 444 726 or +2609 711 77467. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
The Bible says, I knew you before I placed you in your mother's womb.
Apples and bananas.
Work and wait, and this what you've been praying for.
I don't know if I would call it's a lovely Saturday or a disappointing Saturday, sitting here with our sad faces looking at the disappointing game that we had during the course of the week, which was on a Thursday. But anyway, all in all, welcome to Off the Pitch, the show that gives you nothing but the best in terms of highlights and highlighting whatever took place within the course of the week. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and as you can see, I'm not alone on set. Ango Rapson, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Amos and Augustine. It's been a week of full of ups and downs, and we look forward to the show.
And to my far left, there is Augustine. Augustine, welcome.
Thank you very much, Amos. We return all the glory to the Most High God. We are back here to give nothing but the very best.
You seem to be in a low mood, gents.
To begin with, it's really. On a sad note, we would like to appreciate the funeral service that is going on right now. We are putting to rest one of the grandsons of this one, Dr. Roland Siska, and we just wish the family all the best. And on a sad note, moving from that funeral note to the football team now. Well, we saw Zambia national soccer team on Thursday playing the home match against Algeria, and the result was probably not in our favor, and that of the future of the national team with regards to the qualification of the AFCON next year.
And talking about the death of Dr. Roland Musiska, I've seen Football Association of Zambia, I've honored him. I was at Ngoloma Stadium in the morning, and the game between Red Arrows and Busa, they were all wearing black armbands, and they monitored the moment of silence, which is very, very great for someone of his stature.
Anyway, I think before we get into more of the discussion that we have to discuss, maybe it would be best to give the highlights in terms of whatever took place within the course of the week. So, Ango Rapson, just a run through, a run over, a quick one. What's really next for us as a nation?
Well, for me, It's back to the drawing board. I'm not sure about Augustine before we proceed. I just need to be very sure with Augustine.
I think to me it's back to the drawing board, like Uncle Robson has said. And unfortunately, when it comes to national team football, it's not like a club where you go out and buy the best talent for the positions that you are lacking. You have to develop this young talent, let it come through, and challenge for those slots for the senior team. I think not all. For me, if I look back to the game against Algeria, seriously, a lot of people, there have been a lot of disappointment, but is it really the game which cost us the place at the Africa Cup of Nations? No. If on another day, we'll be very, very much impressed with that performance from the Chipolopolo boys, because they came from 2 goals down and equalized to 2-2. How many times do you see that? Do Zambia do that? Then we went 3-2 down, and then we managed to get back into the game. We hit the post towards the end, and a goal was disallowed. It was a very decent performance all around. We had a couple of errors, I must say, which cost Zambia at the end of the day. But if you look at what Jamel Badamid has done with that Algerian side, he has gone 3 years unbeaten with that team. And for Zambia to get a 3-3 draw, it's not the worst result in the world. Those are very young boys. We've seen the likes of Gampani Lungu who's come through, and he's looking like he will be a top-class player in the next 3 or 4 years. You've seen positives in the league, the likes of Abraham Siangombo. Those are the players who, in the next 3-4 years, they'll start challenging for positions at the senior national team. It's not very bad of a result against Algeria. We were playing the Desert Foxes, the champions of Africa. They have gone now 23 games unbeaten, which not even the most successful club in Africa, Egypt, managed to do. So there's something good about this Algerian side. How do we learn from them? How do we restructure the national team? I think it's all about patience and giving these boys chance to progress.
I think before I come to you, Uncle Rapson, maybe for those who didn't manage to watch the game that night, fateful night, we just have these highlights so that you can see and be in position to comment and be up to speed to what we are discussing here. So let's just take a look at these highlights.
He will be one of the front men, along with Bounedjah, of course. Players on the bench. Right then, time to get this show on the road. Then let's see exactly what Zambia have got in the tank. Can they hit back? Can they... Long-range effort! Oh, my word! That was a... So look at that again. That was the Guediora. Oh, crikey. Lofted ball into the penalty area. Anybody on the edge of it? That's not bad at all! Very close indeed. Slimani does well, gets the ball back as well. Is Islam Slimani a one-on-one? He loves these opportunities. That's a good ball at the back. It's in the goal. They've done it. They've scored. Algeria take the lead. That was just too easy, wasn't it? Ghazel's the man racing in at the... Here he is again. Ghazel. He's doing so well. Oh, that's surely in the back of the net. Belali. It's Islam Slimani who finally finds the back of the net. And that's 2-0 for Algeria. Kabwe, can his delivery come in? Well, is there a penalty? There might be a penalty. And Daka with the run-up, Daka with the shot. The shot goes in! And Zambia have got a goal. That will give them hope. Have they got what it takes for a remontada? There's a chance for a shot coming in. It's not a great shot, is it?
And for me, really, when you look at that kind of defending, yes, there was an error which was committed. The recovery by those defenders, they could have done something to block that ball from going.
Yes, very true. Two wrongs don't make a right.
The mistake has been made.
Yes.
Recover, defend, and talk later. But what happened on that day? Simple mistake was made. The ball goes on the wing. The guy had all the time to see Sirio in goals. He lifted his head, looked at the ball down, waited for the guy to make a run all the way through, to come and run behind the two defenders who were making a very, very straight line, like they are creating an offside. So the guy ran in between the goalkeeper and the two defenders and had the simplest of tap-ins. And that put a lot of pressure. Because at that point, Amos, you realize that all the players in the squad had their morale almost at 100%. Because, you know, coming back from behind when you're down by 2-0, you score 1.
Immediately after the second half starts.
You score 2. In the 54th minute, 55th minute, the game is equal, it's at par. You are like, okay, we've got over
40 minutes
to play. And these 40 minutes, remember, the natural instinct in any team is when you are coming from behind. Because when you are 2-0 down, you come from behind and score 2 goals. The morale on the other side, that would have put the Algerians in defensive mode. Because now they are seeing that the host team is doing everything possible.
They've gained momentum.
They've gained momentum and they're attacking. That gave the team that morale and that zeal to play football. And we saw the free-flowing football that started moving. But what happened?
And just to add what Tango has said, every time when I was at Lusaka Dynamos, coming through at Lusaka Dynamos, because Lucas Siame would always tell us the most dangerous player is the one without the ball. I think you have got Bunaja is running with the ball into a box. Who is the most dangerous guy? It's Slimani who is making the run into the box, and no one is looking at Slimani. I was very, very disappointed with the 2 goals Islam Slimani scored. Bunaja is in possession of the ball. He's peeled off into a wide area and one possession for Algeria. He's coming into our box, approaching our box. Probably we've got Adrian Chama in there. We've got Lodrika who's recovering. Benson Sakala holding midfielder. Which guy do you pick? You cannot go and close down that ball because that situation is already in Algeria's advantage. Now what do we need to do? We need to close down the guy who needs to play the ball to, which was Islam Slimani, was the most dangerous guy off the ball because he was the one who was making the run. Because if you close down Islam Slimani, you cut down his options.
Let's look at
and you see for me, I must say, like he's saying, when the guy was coming with the ball on the right flank, his angle was very narrow. If he had attempted to take a shot on target, very slim chances that the ball was going to go in.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was coming from an angle and Syrio
was well positioned.
Very well positioned to take care of that ball. What did he do? He waited, comfortably waited. Comfortably waited for this other guy to come and overrun the 2 defenders, Adrian Chama and his friend behind. Then what did he do? He just puts the ball behind the defenders and right in front of Syrio. Syrio can't come for the ball. The defender can't come for the ball. Why? Because they are only positioned.
They're in no man's land.
You put the ball in between the defender and the goalkeeper. And the tapping was so simple. It's like a free gift. Christmas came early for them.
I think us being in the stadium on that night, we saw the reaction of Micho after the 3rd goal.
Yeah, he sank down to his knees, very, very disappointed because that was schoolboy defending with.
On a right note, he must have remembered Michael's question during the.
Yeah, very, very true. Because obviously you saw, even before we considered the 3 goals, Kawaso Chongo hit the post. He close to scoring an own goal like the fans were predicting on Thursday. Because it was always the same ball Algeria played. They'll put the ball into a wide area and then they'll put the ball in that corridor of uncertainty between the goalkeeper and the back 4. We could have dealt with that very, very well because we have got experienced defenders. Come on, Adrian Chama has played this level for a very, very long time. Kawaso Chongo, he's played continental football for TP Mazembe and Chipolo Polo. They could have dealt with the situation very, very well. Every time when the defender is defending, facing his goal, there's a very, very big mistake.
You see, it's both goals, by the way. The first one and the second one. No, actually, including the 3rd one. They were all being cut in between the defenders and the goalkeeper. All the 3. The first one, you saw the centre back trying to slide in towards his own goal. Very high chances to touch that ball.
It's an own goal.
That was the second goal, by the way, for Algerians. The ball went like that. It went all the way. The guy was sliding. This other guy who was coming this side just tapped it in and it went to the far post. And the guy just slid it in and it went in. I don't know what to say because these are defenders who play football at a very high level. Very, very high level. To be committing those mistakes as if we are watching Division 1 football, it's so disappointing, I'm telling you.
Or maybe it's a Sunday league.
We do better.
Because one disappointment from the first goal, because we lost the ball in an attacking area in the final third. We were only attacked with, I think it was Augustin Mununga. Yeah, we lose the ball, and then what does what does Luka Banda do? We are playing a back 3. Why do you get drawn into midfield? You are playing into all the midfielders in Nathan Singala and Benson Sakala. You just hand over, say the ball, someone is coming, and then they were very, very clever. Islam Slimani makes a run into midfield, knowing that Luka Banda will follow me. Luka Banda follows Slimani. Then now the holes have opened up in that central area. They just played a little 1-2 and they are in the final eight. Yes, that's why the ball passed through. I think that we could have defended better.
Push the ball 2-3, and you know how the Algerians were playing the same simple ball, 3-4 touches. They're in the dangerous area.
Easy progression.
Easy progression. Spaces, the wing back, the first 20 minutes. If he had delayed to make those substitutions by another 10 minutes,
It was going to be.
it would have been 4.
Let's look at us. Let's look at the goals that we scored. Debate is there.
I am not good. It's very, very difficult. You see, that penalty, you and I were in the stadium. We only had an opportunity to see that
Once.
on a live game. According to the people that saw that and discussed, I think for me the composure, I will just discuss the composure of one person, Taka. I think he took up the mantle and just decided, I'm going to take this penalty and I'm going to keep the country on my shoulders as a top man. He got the ball, pushed it in. But let's look at the creativity that led to that penalty. At that point, after the substitutions were made, we also how the game started flowing. Like I discussed on Thursday, the two wing backs. We also how Lubambo Msonda and Rodri Kawe came and changed the game. The same thing I was discussing. Lubambo has the capabilities of pushing up and down. That's exactly what he brought into the team. The confidence of stopping the ball. The guy is just brilliant. Very, very brilliant. If you look at, for me, the one person that actually overstayed on that pitch for a very long time is Augustine. Augustine, after the two substitutions were made, he was the next culprit. He could stop the ball, trap the ball, play. But I think the energy, that zeal of wearing that shirt, we have a lot to do to the Zambian players. Their confidence levels just have to come up. They need to understand that wearing that shirt means a lot to the country. And the positive energy just died immediately after Kawaso Chongo decided to give away that ball.
In the 50.
It was so disappointing. And you know, at that point I was in the stadium, I'm like, what am I doing here? But as long as I was there, and you see, being a patriotic Zambian, and we just gave the support to the boys, they kept on pushing. You could tell that these guys are not giving up. But the composition of the 11 that were on the pitch that day, and the type of energy that they were pushing in, I think if we were to rate the players, not everybody did their part correctly. If everybody contributed their part the way they should have been, we should have been very, very effective. We saw those two substitutions coming in.
But maybe let's do a quick rating, Uncle Robson. Just a quick one. We've seen how social media is abuzz with our goalkeeper saying he did well.
Well, when we discuss positions, I'll say for me, Sirio is probably one of the top 2 players in the Zambia national soccer team on the day. He made a couple of saves. He was reading the ball very well. Every time they throw a ball that is right behind the center half, he would come out of his line and just make sure that he protects the ball and hits it back. He made a couple of beautiful saves, and the goals that he conceded, like I said before the show started, even if you got All Black to be in goals, those were defensive mistakes. There is no goalkeeper that can actually stop any of those balls, because why? He's already beaten by a very simple pass. One pass beats the defenders, the goalkeeper is covering the near post, and when you check all that, really, you cannot blame the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper actually tried the whole time that he was in that match. I think for me, if you ask me, I would rate Sirio on the day 8 out of 10.
Continue.
All right, back. Who are we rating? Luambo came in, played his football. He was an impact substitution. I would probably, for me, I would say, I would give him 7 out of 10. Left back, Rodrick. Okay, what about Luka? Should we rate Luka? No,
Yes.
the ones who were taken off, we won't rate them. They were taken off because clearly out of 10 at that point they were playing around 2 out of 10. That's
I think especially when it comes to Nathan Sinkala, I felt it was just a matter of who do we take off between Benson Sakala and Nathan Sigala, because at that time they were both awful. Let's just be honest, because Benson Sakala and Nathan Sigala did nothing in the game up to that point when one was removed, because those guys are similar type of players. They want to play in the same zone. So now probably there was no better communication. No one wanted to be the box-to-box midfielders. So now Mitchell was all about, who do I take off? Who has got the legs to finish the 90 minutes? Maybe that was his thinking, to replace Nathan.
You see, for me, Nathan was a culprit on the day. If I am playing with you in midfield, or Nathan and Benson, then you see that my work rate, I'm running like a headless chicken. This other partner of mine is just being found in no man's land all the time. I lose steam. Then at that point, the coach had an option of either picking Benson, who doesn't have that much experience, but has the energy to play 90 minutes in that type of a game.
Okay.
Or take off Benson and leave Nathan. But at that point, when you look at Nathan, the reason why the coach even decided to take him off is because even in a situation where there is uncertainty between a player who has no experience
and the one with
player who has experience, the one with experience should be able to lift the morale of the people without experience in the team and just push them. But if even you, the experienced player, is not uplifting the standards or the morale
then
of
it's
the
disaster.
then you are the problem. The moment he was taken off,
We saw
those
Benson
two players
Sakala grow.
Benson Sakala started
He had played very well.
He played very, very well.
That's when you saw when Benson is moving, Gampani also started performing very well on the other side. So for me, the decisions that the coach made to take Nathan
Singha
and Luka Banda, they really paid off. And the formation changed quickly, and we saw the players adjusting very, very quickly. That is all we needed to do. And I think for the first time, everybody wants to crucify Mitchell. I think he read the game
Very well, yeah.
And he was moving with the game. The way the game was progressing, he was moving with it.
Morale got down just when
Ango
decided to do an overhead. I don't even know what you call that one. Without pressure. The guy who was following was like 5 meters away and running. You know, the guy should have just taken that ball off. But immediately that ball went off. I'm talking about Mitchell's reading of the game and the reaction. I think he was on point. He made those substitutions. The game started moving in our way. We saw the goal. The second goal went in. Probably we were waiting to have the third goal. The morale was in our team. The third goal didn't come. Instead, it came, but on the wrong side. Why? And now all the bodies of the players were like, oh, okay, we are making 10 steps towards progressing to the Africa Cup. One defender is taking us 5 steps backwards. Clearly, you can't blame the coach for that.
But let's, Augustine, let's look at the creativeness in terms of...
And this is where, before we look at creativeness, and this is where I think some of these players leave the stage while these people are clapping. Leave the stage. You know, Mitchell was at pains to even respond to a question from a journalist about the same player who actually allowed 5 the previous time. But now he contributed 1 again. And I'm yet to see what is going to happen on Monday, because we have a friendly game on Monday against Zimbabwe.
You call it a friendly.
It's an Africa Cup qualifier.
That's a friendly game.
It's a dead rubber.
No, we are going to play for pride.
I think Amos.
No,
just
you are going to play for pride. But remember, you see, Zimbabwe has already qualified.
Yes, and they also want to play for pride.
They will use, you see now, all those Ghana players who went to Zimbabwe now, they are the ones who will be playing. The same ones who get in Ghana.
So maybe we take Naps and Ghana who are preparing for continental football to go and play that match.
Even Ned Darrows can go and do better.
Augustine, let's look at the creativeness in terms of our midfield. A lot of people are expecting a lot from Enoch Mwepu on that day. And for me, I felt like he didn't perform up to standard in terms of the way we know him. So what was Mitchell right to substitute Cletus Chama in that game and leaving Enoch Mwepu?
Poor decision by Mitchell, I felt, because if you look at the game, the way the game was moving, I felt Cletus was better than Enoch Mwepu. He got into the box, he found spaces and found the right passing. But I felt I looked at Mitchell's and thinking maybe Mwepu is a top player. You would always think there was something special that he would produce on the day. And looking at the way Zambia approached the game, just coming back to tactics, a lot of people have crucified Michu and the 3-5-2 formation that he used. Was it the wrong formation against an Algerian side? No, it wasn't. It was just the application of the players on the day.
The manpower.
Yes, that was
given the task to do that.
Yes,
particular formation is the one that was wrong.
That was the problem, because if you look at the way Michu thought we were going to approach that game, we are going to have numbers in defense and in attack when we use a 3 at the back, and we are going to nullify the threat of Bunaja and Islam Slimani up front, and Michu wanted the likes of Gazelle, probably the most creative, one of the most creative African players we have on the continent, to track back more than going forward and attacking our fullbacks. And you saw it worked very, very well in the first 20 minutes before we considered the game, the goal, because Algeria, when they scored their first goal, it was from a deep position. They just played little 1-2s, like we talked about. Luka Banda being dragged into a central defensive, into midfield, because he was playing a very, very, very intelligent player. And one thing I realized, we wanted to press Algeria, and Patson Daka is very, very good when it comes to pressing. He does that at Red Bull Salzburg, and he was always pressing. But what happened is that when Patson Daka press, where's the midfield? They need to go get close to Patson Daka, and the defense has to push up. But there were lots of gaps in the Chipolopolo's setup, because every time Patson Daka presses, Cletus Samachota, yes, he was going closer to him, and Augustin Mulenga, but the midfield, they were just in that central row, and once they do that, they create a problem, because they will have a lot of space to cover, because the back four does not push up. If you, the midfielders, do not join in that press, then the back four will not push up, the back three, will not push up, and it caused a lot of problems, and we considered goals from there. Looking at Inek Mwepu's performance, I think before we went to the stadium, we talked about Edin Guardiola, how important it would be for Algeria, and you saw he was very, very intelligent in the way he dealt with Inek Mwepu. He made sure that whenever Inek Mwepu gets hold to possession, he wouldn't see Patson Daka. It's something that the Algerian would have planned very, very well. They allowed Inek Mwepu to hold the ball and face his back four.
And not just planning, even the execution was on point.
Yeah.
Every time Mwepu gets the ball, they were not allowing him to look up.
Yes. And you saw Islam Slimani dropping there.
When he receives the ball, if you just give him a chance to turn and face, he will pick a pass. They curtailed that supply to Patson, like we discussed before the match, was cut off completely. He was not seeing those passes coming. And when you do that to a midfielder, you frustrate a midfielder. That's why probably they did their homework very correct on Enoch Mwepu and Patson Daka. They have been watching those two boys in Europe, and they know that if they manage those two the way they did, the expected result is exactly the outcome of the performance that was there. But again, on Mitchell's leaving Enoch Mwepu on the pitch for the entire game, I think there was a reason. These are players that, in a glimpse of an eye, they're able to turn a negative opportunity into a positive opportunity. Those are some of the players that, even on a bad day, I would make a decision to keep the player on the pitch. Even on a bad day. Why? Because he's coming with that experience that have been marked so tightly. But when I have half a chance, I will utilize it, turn it into 100% chance, and we are going to get something out of it. That is the whole idea there. Then for Cletus was on point. His substitution, I had mixed feelings, but I think the whole reason there was energy levels. He did a lot of running, and I think the bringing in of Collins Kombe to replace him was basically to have a similar player on the pitch with Cletus's characteristics. Because I think Collins and Cletus, when you look at the type of football they play, it's almost the same. Almost the same. Because now Collins went to play in the hole. In the same position where Cletus was. And we have seen Collins perform when he was at Napsa Stars. He single-handedly managed to come and rescue Napsa Stars a couple of times.
And probably his very first season in the Premier League at Lusaka Dynamos to Napsa is very, very outstanding.
Yeah, so that is a kind of player where you are making a decision, not because Cletus is not playing fine. It's because the energy levels have gone down, and you just need somebody with 100% energy to go and continue from where the other person left. But otherwise, Mitchell, kudos to Mitchell. He did a very, very fantastic job in terms of game reading, and the substitutions were on point this time around.
We saw the coming in of Moses P. Augustine, bringing in more pressure and giving us the second penalty of the day.
A very, very live striker in Moses Piri. I think one thing you get from Moses Piri is that he's very, very direct. He's always facing the defenders. He's very, very positive. And you could see they can complement each other with Patson Daka. Those guys can play as a 10 and as a 9, both of them. They can play as a 10 and as a 9. Now you saw now a lot of Patson Daka now, that pressure of playing with those two defenders on him, it was released because of the substitution of Moses Piri. He started linking up very, very well with Patson Daka. He became that link between midfield and attack, and also the introduction of Colin Sikombe, who is always a willing runner into the box and in behind the defenders. It brought a lot of positivity for Chipolopolo boys. Moses Piri very, very positive, won the penalty for Zambia, and we could have won the game if we have probably a lot of more minutes to play, but unfortunately we scored when it was just 10 minutes to go, and when we were just getting the momentum and pushing, asking questions of that Algerian back four. Overall, if you look at the Chipolopolo boys' performance, it was a very decent performance, we must say. Despite the couple of errors and certain individuals not turning up on the day, we can draw positives from this encounter, because if you look at the young Gampanirungu, very, very impressive performance. He's a young lad who is growing into the game. He's learning different positions. You see him play as a right back at Supersport. You see him playing as a right winger. You see him playing as an out-and-out striker for Supersport sometimes, because at Power Dynamo's National Assembly he was a number 9, but he's someone who is willing to learn and work very hard at whatever has been asked for by the coach for him to do. Going forward now, we're looking at this Zimbabwe game which is coming. Angorapson has called it a friendly. Can we now try and
salvage something?
Yes, and maybe this is the right time to try and play these players who haven't seen game time. We have been calling Dominic Chanda almost every call-up. He has been part of that team, but he hasn't been playing. He hasn't been given any game time. We have got Lamek Siame of Kawe Warriors. He's impressive in the league. Can we try and give him a run at against Zimbabwe? Because now this is the time we can get that fee out of these players on an international stage. This is the only chance that Mitchell has to try and prepare these guys for the coming World Cup qualifier. Is it in June, July? Yeah. Looking at Chipolopolo boys, it's not.
We should just be qualifying to Kosafa.
Kosafa will qualify by default.
By geographical location.
And before we come to discuss more in terms of what Augustine has already started, the World Cup qualifying games that are starting in June, we'll just take a very, very short break and we'll be right back.
...2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years, the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses. With only a few months remaining down to the ballot, the battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our interest is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor, or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 17:45 hours
on a new program dubbed The Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Well, welcome back. As earlier discussed, I think we've spoken enough in terms of the Zambian game, which was played on Thursday. It's high time we take a look at other things, as we just wish the guys all the best as they face Zimbabwe. That's on Monday. For now, we're going to take a look at the game that was played yesterday. That's Buildcon and Napsa Stars. Ango Rapson.
I was in the stadium yesterday at Woodland Stadium to cover that match live, and I think when you look at the two lineups that started the match, I was very worried when I saw the Napsa Stars lineup, and I think they started with the Gift on the right, Gift Zulu. Gift Zulu is one player who spent the whole time at Nkana without having any assist from a defender when you overlap. So I was like, oh, okay, they have Gift this side. There was Bonwell on the other side, Bonwell Silengo. They are striking force. They are still missing Jimmy Mukea, who lost his mother during the course of the week, and they had to put the mother to rest, and he was off duty yesterday, and it was kind of a boring encounter in the beginning. And on the other end as well, Buildcon were missing the services of one Brian Mwila, who also had who was absent for the national team on Thursday due to injury. I spoke to one of the Buildcon officials, and he's likely to have a scan on Monday to determine the extent of the damage. But I think they Buildcon settled for Eric Owusu as their top man, and the game started, and pressure. It was a very, very hard tackling game, very hard tackling game, and it wasn't it wasn't news to me who was in the stadium when I actually saw what happened to Dickson Chapa, because the game was very, very hard. The ref had to stamp his authority on the game. The first 15 minutes, they were just full of tackles, very hard marking, man-to-man, aerial balls. You could see elbows flying. Towards the end of the first half, we saw a couple of yellow cards. One Dickson Chapa got a yellow card, and in the end, he was actually sent off in that match as skipper of Napsa Stars. And in the first half, we saw one Shadrack Msonda being hammered by one of the tackles from the same guy who actually got a first yellow on Shadrack, and Shadrack was taken off. Then by wonderful agreement between Buildcon and Napsa Stars
for their player,
Msonda Kapembwa was allowed to feature against the parent club. Immediately, Shadrack was taken off. I think that was in the 23rd, 25th, 30th minute, somewhere there, if I'm not mistaken. They took him off, and immediately Kapembwa Msonda went in, and he became a nuisance to the defenders of Napsa Stars. And it didn't take long for him to stay on the pitch. I think he made a couple of runs running around the defenders, and in the end, he had a very, very nice pass. Very nice pass. He got the pass, went to the goalkeeper, dribbled the goalkeeper. He was hacked, and the penalty was given to Buildcon. Eric Owusu came to the occasion and buried the ball. Napsa Stars was down 1-0. As they were playing, they were down 1-0. Kapembwa Msonda got the ball, came with it in midfield, dribbled one defender. The next midfielder who was coming very close to him was one Dickson Chapa. So as he was trying to dribble past him, Dickson Chapa, I think he raised his leg a bit high and hacked the young man. The young man went down. The ref had no option but to issue a second yellow, and Napsa Stars had one man down in the first half. So now you start looking at a team that is was it in the 53rd? I think 53rd minute. They were down by one man, and Buildcon was still leading by a goal to 0. As usual, Zambian coaches, one Boyd Mulwanda, couldn't read the game. He took off Eric Owusu and brought in Patrick Dudengoma. I'm like, what is happening here? So Dude was there. The guy is well built, very heavy,
Yeah.
Very heavy. Every time he touches the ball, he's trying to stop the ball by bringing it down on his chest. As they are attacking, the ball would hit the chest and go 3 meters away. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a player who has gone in. He's not creating any impact in the team. He can't run rings around the defenders. But there we go. What happened? Instead of readjusting to the game of denying Napsa possession, because you see, when a team is one man down, all you do is deny them possession and spread them. Why? Because they are less in number. So if you are going to be passing the ball, you definitely going to have an advantage because they'll be forced to come forward and they'll open up and you're likely to go and attack and score again. What we saw yesterday from Buildcon, silly mistakes. They get the ball from behind. Every ball is going above the midfielders.
The same game that...
The same game that... I know I'll take this from Perry. Perry is a very good friend of mine. That's what he doesn't like and I don't like it either. You are one man up. You have an advantage. Why are you hitting the balls over the midfielders all the time? And you know what Napsa Stars did? Every time the ball goes up, they stop it. They were not hitting the ball back. They were playing. Why? Because they knew that we are one man down. Every time we hit an aerial ball, we are like 2 men down. Because the ball has been lost and we are already 1 man down. So now they started playing. They equalized, they came back from behind and it was so disappointing for Boyd Mulwanda. They came to Lusaka, traveled all those kilometers, played against 10 men for close to, I think, 40 minutes, 35 minutes with 10 men, but they still lost. 10-man Napsa Stars, congratulations to Fati and the entire squad. They came back from behind, they showed zeal, they showed character, 1 man down. Dan Slavwe was a workaholic in midfield, Jacob Ngulube, well done. Perfect teamwork from Napsa Stars. We saw Bono Mwape coming in for one Emmanuel Mayuka. He was taken off. You know where you move from the touchline? You are just coming in from the touchline. You go in. At the point of you just running, going in, the other player is still walking to go and take his bench. Bono received 1 pass. 1 pass. He just stopped it with his right, placed it on his left. His back was facing the goalkeeper. So he was actually facing his own half, where the goalkeeper that you're the one who's conceding is right behind you. The guy just stopped it in his blind position. That guy has got power in his left leg. He hit the ball and it went right in the near post and it went in, and that was his second touch. First touch stopping, second touch the ball is in the net, and that was the winning goal for Napsa Stars.
Before Mayuka would sit.
He didn't even reach. He didn't even reach the bench. It was so quick. And you could see the power. But kudos to that young goalkeeper from Buildcon. That boy, if Buildcon, the technical team is watching, I had an opportunity to interview them yesterday after the match. They were telling me that is a third choice goalkeeper who came. Third choice goalkeeper. Dixon Chapa in the first half ran with the ball in the midfield, like 10 meters before the 18-yard box. Unleashed a shot which was going in the top corner. That tall young goalkeeper, very composed. He dived at full stretch and just touched the ball with the fingertips and the ball went over the bar for a corner. It was a brilliant save. That goalkeeper accounted for himself extremely well. The goal he conceded on the near post against Bono was an act of intelligence from Bono Mwape and not the goalkeeper.
And the strength.
And not the goalkeeper. It was just the power in the shot and the position, because you know it's a situation where the goalkeeper, when you are in goals, we've watched this before, when a player is facing his own goal, a goalkeeper starts reading where the next pass is going to go. So you are in a position where you are now seeing, say maybe he's going to make 1-2 touches to brush away this defender so that he has space to shoot. He didn't do that. The ball just went in between where he was and the defender. I don't know where he found the space to shoot, but it went in and it was a perfect goal. Perfect goal. One of the best goals of the league this season.
Before we look at the women's football with Augustine Angorapson, what's the next fixture for Napsa?
Napsa Stars, Tuesday they are hosting Power Dynamos at Woodland Stadium, and it's a game that we need to go and cover and just see how Napsa is progressing. What Napsa is beginning to show now is they are slowly getting out of the red zone. Of course, they are leaving Ghana Football Club there. And I think Ghana Football Club, yet to confirm, they should be facing Green Buffaloes Football Club in the course of the week as well. But they have taken, they are out of the red zone, the danger zone at the bottom. They are making steady progress. And I think with the character that Napsa Stars showed yesterday, where you are changing manpower, but you are grinding results, either intentionally or by luck or by whatever means. But I think they are on a positive trajectory in terms of having a philosophy where all the players, regardless of who is playing, the philosophy is that they have to play as a unit and win, and they showed character when they were one man down. And the combination of the players that we are playing yesterday, when you look at their injury lists, I think when Jimmy comes back, and I'm only hoping that the boy plays against Power Dynamos on Tuesday, Power Dynamos is going to be a very, very tough game for them.
Make due to the fans. Is it a fixture or it's a backdated thing? They're just covering it up. Because a lot of people would ask, why was the game played yesterday but we are on national break?
Yeah, we were on the international break, but I think you will recall that Napsa Stars and Ghana Football Club have been engaged in quite a lot of games at international level, and they have a backlog of games that they need to cover, because as you go towards the end of the season, this backlog can usually, it has to be cleared off, so that the aspect of match fixing and people thinking that this is just a friendly game because these guys have already won the league or these guys are yet to play these games. I think Brian Menga was very, very categorical when he says all the teams that have got a backlog of games have to play concurrently and catch up with the rest of the players before we can proceed together as the entire league. So you will see that Ghana Football Club is going to have quite a couple of games. They will have quite a couple of games that they'll be covering in order for them to catch up with the rest of the teams in the league.
We will just take a very, 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 very short break as we come back and discuss the women's football, which Augustine went to cover this morning. So just join us within a short period of time.
I'm Ambassador Frank Mutsabila. My 50 years journey in the media has now taken me to Camnet Television. I'm very excited to join this amazing inner family. The importance of governance issues cannot be overemphasized. Every Tuesday at 20:45, I'll be going under the skin of a governance issue with my guest. I'll be interrogating the guest so that you can make an informed decision. I'll be coming on every Tuesday at 20:45 with Frank on Camnet.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years, the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses with only a few months remaining down to the ballot. The battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our interest is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor, or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 17:45 hours
on a new program dubbed The Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Women's football is back. Like I said before, we took a short break that we're going to look at the women's football that Augustine went to cover this morning. That's week 2, if I'm not mistaken, Augustine.
Yes.
Just a run through in terms of the fixtures that are being played today. That's the 27th of March 2021. We've got Ghana Queens versus National Assembly. That's at 15 hours at Ghana Stadium. We've got Green Buffaloes versus Mofurira Wanderers. That was played at 10. And we've got that was at Green Square Stadium, American Barracks. Red Arrows versus Bauleni United. That was played at 10. Indeni Roses versus Police Doves.
and Lusaka Dynamos versus Queen's Academy, and ZISD versus Ngwazi Queens, and tomorrow we've got Yasa versus Zesco Girls. Augustine, you went to cover the Red Arrows game.
Yeah, I saw a lot of decent football by the women, I must say. I think the league now looks a little bit better. It looks like it's a national league now, because you can see now the likes of Busa, they are playing Red Arrows. They lost the first game against Indeni Roses at home, and they were visiting Red Arrows, who are coming from a 4-0 victory in their opener. I felt Red Arrows started the game very, very well. Asked questions of Busa, and they won a penalty and scored from it. Then now Busa now grew into the game and started playing some good attacking football. They stretched the Red Arrows back line, and they won a penalty as well and equalized from the spot. And one thing I've noticed from this Busa, the Bauleni United team, they're very, very young girls, very, very young, but very, very determined and positive. They are fearless. They are attack-minded. I think the only thing that will be undoing for them in this level of football is experience. They do not have a lot of experience in them. You would see they make some errors which experienced players wouldn't make, and they gave Red Arrows a couple of problems. I left the game at halftime. They are playing good football. There's this captain, Esther Banda, very, very good central midfielder. I'm sure now that we have got the National League, we are going to see her very, very soon playing for the senior team, the national team, I must say. It's very, very good organized football at women's level. It's just that we just need to see now the public now getting into this wonderful project and helping this women's football grow, because we've been crying out for a very, very long time to have a national league here in Zambia. And kudos go to Football Association of Zambia. We have now got the women's league up and running. Probably the favorites going into this season, probably we look at Indeni Roses, a very, very good team. They are very, very organized. They have always played very good football in the Copa Belt. They have won the Copa Belt League a couple of times. We have got Lusaka Dynamos, a new team in Lusaka Dynamos, which is in the Super League. They look very, very strong as well. They play some decent football. They beat Nkwazi in the opener at Edwin Mboela Stadium. You cannot look far from GBFC. Probably the favorites to win this league, Green Buffaloes. They are very, very strong. They have got enough energy and great personnel in the team to try and get the job done for them. Probably, if you ask me, Red Arrows contenders for the title. From what I saw, I think Red Arrows do not have enough ammunition going forward. They are a very organized side. They have got international players, but they do not they've got a lot of goals in them. In previous years, they had very, very good strikers who would always score a lot of goals for them. But looking at the current crop, they do not have a lot of goals in that Red Arrows team. It's something they need to work on if they have to challenge for the title. Green Buffaloes probably favorites to win the league title, and they will challenge for it. We cannot look past Indeni Roses. They will be in and around there. They will challenge for this title. Lusaka Dynamos look a force as well, and probably Prison Leopards in Kabwe. They are playing. Is it Kabwe Celtics today in a local derby? They have got a couple of good players as well, I must say, and we just hope this women's league will be a success, and people would support it the way I've been supporting men's football. Once they allow us back into the stadiums, we can go and witness the beautiful game.
Would you say there is need to invest a bit more in terms of where women's football is concerned?
Yeah, first thing that you realize is infrastructure. That's something which we really need to improve on. We've got teams like Red Arrows. Yes, they play from Koloma Stadium. They've got a good infrastructure. Nkwazi, they play from Edwin Mboela. That's a very good standard for women's football. But for these other teams, they need a little bit of help in terms of infrastructure. They need a little bit of help in terms of equipment to use for them to develop this young talent and be top class in 2 or 3 years. We need to see the next Barbara Banda coming out from this league. We need to do more in terms of how we market the women's game. I think there need to be a lot of publicity about the women's game. We must mention Moses Pedro Manza is doing a very, very good job in covering women's football together with the Zamfoot crew. They are always on point in terms of covering the women's football. We need a lot of journalists and other media houses to try and come on board and help this women's football grow. It will take the effort of everyone really if we're going to see the women's football reach the heights that we want to see this women's football. And to these clubs, incentives very, very important. You need to motivate these young players. At the end of the day, we always look at women's football. We don't see it as a career which can sustain you for the rest of your life, because there is not much of investment that has been pushed into the women's game. If we pay the women's team, why can't we pay the women's team as well? Because that's a job. This is their profession they have chosen to undertake, and we need to try and motivate them in a certain way that even if there's a young girl out there who is aspiring to be a footballer in Zambian football, they would know that they'll make a living out of it.
But looking at all these tournaments, or maybe all these mini tournaments that are organized, let me give an example of the APSA. Would the introduction of such a tournament be of a boost to the women's football game?
Yeah, probably. We're talking about cup competitions. Even in men's football, we're lacking in terms of cup competitions. We need to see that in women's football. APSA can come on board and sponsor the APSA Cup for the women as well. Maybe any other company out there, the corporate world, can sponsor a very, very lucrative tournament that will at least motivate all the women to try and qualify. If it's a top 8 tournament, we pump in a lot of money and we will see a lot of action. Believe you me, there's a lot of talent out there which is unpolished, and we just need to be doing the right things, putting the right programs together. Football Association of Zambia, kudos go to them for coming up with a league. Now we need to see the corporate world come in and support women's football so that Zambian football will grow together as we go towards the Tokyo Olympics. We need a lot of scouting to be done in terms of the players that may be part of that team going to Tokyo, and we need to polish the ones that we have. We need to improve them, because going to play the Olympics is a very, very different level of football. It's not the same as the COSAFA, it's not the same as the local league. It's very, very different. We need players to be up for the fight, and I just hope for the best going into Tokyo 2021.
We saw the likes of Barbara Banda organizing one of the tournaments that was a bit of a boost, and I feel like there are a lot of other players who can join hands and bring in such talent together. But anyway, away from the women's football, Augustine, I think after the loss that Zambia had, that was on Thursday, we saw our Lusaka mayor, who is Mao Samba, going into the dressing room, advising the lads to concentrate not much on the World Cup qualifying match. And I don't know if that group is really true. The one where there is Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, and what's the other team? I've just forgotten the name. A lot of people have said if that's the group, then it's the easiest groups that Zambia can ever be to qualify to the World Cup.
Yeah, on paper it may look like it's an easy group, but it's a very, very tricky group. If you ask me, we have to play the likes of Equatorial Guinea and Tunisia. And what we just need to do, we need to do our homework, and we need to know strategically where we're going to get the 3 points, and where we are not going to realistically get 3 points. And if we go to a certain place like Tunisia, we have to look at it. If we get 3 points from there, it's a bonus. We have to try and play for a draw, or better off damage limitation. If we lose in Tunisia, we shouldn't lose the way we lost to Algeria by 5-0. This is a very, very good chance for this Chipolopolo team to try and go the distance and qualify to the World Cup. It's an opportunity which has come calling. We have got lessons. We are just from playing Algeria in the Africa Cup qualifiers, from North Africa. Now we are facing another giant, Tunisia, who are probably the favorites in the group from North Africa. What can we learn from this Algerian outing? It's very, very important that we learn something from the games that we've played against Algeria, and try and implement some tactics and information into the next game as we are going to play the likes of Tunisia, home and away. What do we need to do against a mighty team like Tunisia, because once if you need to qualify for a tournament, the closest team is Tunisia. To be fair, to be realistic, Tunisia, Zambia favorites in this group to go to the World Cup. One of them has to go. Even in the previous group, we were probably the favorites with Algeria, but we messed it up. So now we need to plot. What do we do to our closest rival, Tunisia? If we cannot lose to these guys, then we're well and good. Let's avoid defeat by all means. We can go in Tunisia and play for a draw. Come here at home and beat them, and then we would have gotten 4 points from our nearest rivals. Now what do we do with the remaining two teams in the group? We just have to pick 6 points both home and away. Especially when we're playing at home, we need to get those 9 points in the bag so that it will give us the much needed boost going into away games. If you look at Enoch Mwepu, Patson Daga, probably the players with a very, very high profile in Zambian football, they are playing in the Champions League, but they are only doing part. I think if you look at their CV, they have got no AFCON experience, which is very, very bad. We would have loved to see Enoch Mwepu and Patson Daga play at this highest level of Zambia, of African football, at the Africa Cup of Nations. It's where probably the best of the best meet in terms of African football, and it's a shame they have missed out another opportunity to go to the Africa Cup. We've missed out. If we would have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations, it would have been good for both Enoch Mwepu and Patson Daga for their exposure and for them trying to sign on for a bigger club in Europe. But now the CV is because we haven't played a major tournament at senior level. That will be the one thing that Europeans look at when they want to sign a player. World Cup qualifiers, now Micho will start his own campaign, because you would have realized the previous campaign Micho found it halfway. Yeah, so you wouldn't blame Micho for us failing to qualify to the AFCON, but now he has got the chance to try and come up with a better plan with his technical bench, try and see which players will be best suited for this occasion, and we ensure that Zambia qualifies to the next edition of the World Cup. We haven't qualified yet to any World Cup in the history of the country. Now a chance has come and it has presented itself in Qatar 2022. If we miss out on Qatar 2022, the next World Cup is in 2026, which is we won't have the same Patson Daga. We won't have the same Enoch Mwepu. They would have grown by that time. We would have been thinking of now they are going into the evenings of their career. Now when these players are at their peak, we have got a lot of young talent in Zambia who are really, really doing well. Klings Kangwa in Israel, in Russia, sorry. We have got Fashion Sakala in Belgium. We've got Gampan Lungu, who is at Supersport. We've got Mwenya Chiwe in South Africa. We've got players who are under the age of 25, and this is a very, very good opportunity for them to qualify for the World Cup. It's a 50-50 thing. It's not a given that Zambia would qualify for this World Cup. It's a 50-50 thing. We can qualify or we cannot. It's just the matter of how do we plan for this. Friendlies needs to be put in place. Competitive friendlies, for that matter, for us to try and expose these players as we are going into qualifiers. They get very well exposed, find the right combinations, find the right partnerships as we approach the qualifiers.
Would you say, what would be your suggested friendly games to say, because if the qualifications are starting in June, meaning we only have got April and May, that's the only time that we have for preparing our lads. How would you plan the preparations if you were part of Micho's technical bench?
I think if we look at going into the World Cup qualifiers, probably we'll have one international break before we go into these qualifiers, and I'm looking at a friendly with a North African opposition, because even them they will come a friendly with Zambia, who are not going to participate at the AFCON, because we are here in Southern Africa and Zimbabwe have qualified. Probably South Africa will qualify, and teams will be looking at which team do we pick from Southern Africa to help us prepare for the AFCON. We need to take advantage of that situation. Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria may be open for a friendly against us. Libya may be open for a friend against us because Libya will not qualify for the next edition of AFCON. We may try and tussle it out with them. We need to look for an opposition in East Africa, an opposition in West Africa, so that we can be ready going into this World Cup qualifiers, and we would have had an idea of how North African teams will come and attack us, how they will play against us, and maybe West African we can pick Cameroon, the host nation, or even Nigeria. It's very, very important that we come up with the right program and the correct planning going into the qualifiers.
Your quick one, Augustine, your final remarks and your good luck message to the lads as they take on Zimbabwe on Monday.
Yeah, it's probably a dead rubber game like everyone has been calling out, but at the end of the day, for every day playing for Chipolo Bolo boys, it's an honor. They need to go out there and roll up their sleeves, get dirty, and fight for Mother Zambia. That's the very, very important part. We need to see the professional aspect from these players. And for Milutin Soedovic, this is a chance now to try and use the players that haven't seen a lot of game time at international level, the likes of Dominic Chanda. We need to see more of Dominic Chanda, because I personally feel we've struggled ever since we lost Tichani Imondo. We haven't found the natural number 5 in the national team. Even the game against Algeria, I felt we were playing 2 number 4s in Kaoso Chongwa, Dadri and Cham. Can we work on that and play the likes of Dominic Chanda in Zimbabwe? Lamek Siame is a young lad, he's coming up, he needs exposure. We've got Francis Zulu from the lower divisions. He's also from Prison Leopards. He's someone who can be given game time and get that international experience going into the World Cup qualifiers.
Anyway, just to wrap up the show, we discussed much on what happened and how the game went on Thursday night, because we went to cover it live, and we just wish the lads all the best as they take on Zimbabwe. That's on Monday in the last game. Though we'll play for our pride as Mother Zambia, and hopefully the guys will carry the 3 points and make us proud. For me, Amos and Augustine, and on behalf of our director Precious, and not forgetting Mr. Isaac Shivita upstairs there, and an apology for Ango Rapson, who had to rush to cover an event that we are not supposed to miss. We are out. See you next week, same time, same place. We're out. Bye-bye.